What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are going over Solana as it has been making some pretty interesting moves. It actually did see a breakdown to the exact price target that we talked about in the last video. So we're going to update you guys on how that has played out and what I am expecting to see going from this point forward and exactly how I plan to use those movements, of course, to maximize our gains. So looking at Solana, of course, we have been seeing a bit of a continuation of this downtrend ever since we did touch our trend line back here on February 7th. Okay. Now, paying attention to how this thing has interacted, we've been talking about this range between $94 and $88. Now, what we said was that $94 and $88 was the last level of support in which we needed to see hold before seeing a resortment back towards $81 to $80 and even possibly as low as the bottom side of this descending wedge in which we have been in. Now, as you can see, that very first prediction slash, assumption did come true, right? We lost $88 and near immediately we saw this correction continuously just straight down back towards $81 towards this range low in which we put in. The reason being, of course, is because this is our Fibonacci retracement zone, and when we lose this key golden zone, there's a very strong chance we do resort back into the lows in which we had most recently put in on a macro scale. Okay, so I know a few people in my Patreon specifically did pull on a short trade as soon as they did see us start to break down below this level. They actually did go in and open a bit of a quick short trade, about 10, I think it was about 8%, I'd like to say. Yeah, 8%, in which they did short from $88 to $81 using this Fibonacci breakdown. So, of course, that was a fantastic trade. I did not personally get in on that one, but big kudos to those of you who did based off of the loss of the 786 there. But now that we have come down and touched our price target to the downside, now it's time to question where does this thing go from here and exactly how are we going to go about it. Now, personally speaking, you guys know that I have not been doing any mass accumulating on Solana until we are capable of breaking the trend line and holding outside of it. The reason being is that we are in a continued and confirmed downtrend until we do so, and there's no point in buying when the likelihood is your money is going to continue to be lost. That does not make sense, right? And so that's why even when things were looking good back up towards these levels, when everyone was getting a bit too excited, I was saying I'm not doing a lot of buying right now until we are able to clear this trend line. We were unable to, and now we are back down to some of these key levels of support. So the next step and the next thing that I'm looking for is where is this true level of support established and when do we get the break above the trend line? Okay, I think that is one of two levels is going to do it, and they're going to probably happen, in my opinion, within the next 2 weeks or so roughly. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the scenario in which we do break to the top side here because I am under the belief that we are going to break to the top side, and then I'll talk about the bottom side in a future video. But in today's video, let's kind of just focus on the top side break here, as again, I do believe that is the more likely option. Now, the reason I believe it's the more likely option is just the setup in which we're seeing from things like the RSI. Okay, so we look at the daily RSI, you guys can see that we have seen a full correction from our our November slash September, October, November, in that little time frame from the peak in which we put in all of these highs. We've seen a full correction back down to some of the lower levels on the RSI that we've seen in the last year. We can also see on something like the daily Bollinger Bands, we are working our way back to the bottom side of this, in which we usually do find a bounce at some given point. We only really extend into the bottom side for short periods of times before resorting back to the top side, which the top side is now sitting outside of the top side of this trend line here. If we look at something like the weekly charts, as you can see, we are starting to get a bit of bullish divergence and convergence here on the MACD, in which we are seeing the blue line start to converge back to the top side, which does seem as if it's going to maybe work its way back up. It does seem as if this downward momentum is slowing down as we are printing some of these pink bars, and of course that is a good sign that generally speaking we may be seeing a reversal in momentum. And last but not least, we can look on the weekly MACD and we can see a very clear sign of some bullish divergence, in which we, at this point, as long as we do put in a high above $18, which we will, honestly, we are going to see this full enactment of bullish divergence, in which we put in the lower low here and the higher low here, whether that be here, whether it be here. No matter where this low gets put in, I don't see it going back to $18. And so for that reason, I am again under the belief that with all of these bullish indicators, we will see the break to the top side of the trend here. So for all those reasons, again, I am expecting that we're going to see that breakout to the upside relatively soon within the next few weeks. And so let's take a look at how that can happen, what this game plan and how this may play out, and how I'm going to go about it. Okay, so the first option is that we do put in a bit of a double bottom here. Okay, now as you can see, we have resorted back towards this low in which we did put in right here, and there is the possibility of us putting in something of a double bottom around $80. Now, the only way in which I would be confident with this being the full full-blown double bottom is that if we're actually capable of not only breaking the trend line, but resorting back up to this mid-level resistance in which we put in this rejective high at $120 and breaking it. I personally would want to see this full W bottom, double bottom play out in which we break back above 117 and we actually look to hold some support there. In the event in which we do this, I would be comfortable to go ahead and really do some mass accumulating, but until we were capable of doing so, this level of rejection is going to be so strong that there is the chance that even if we do break out, we may continue back to the downside for a little while before seeing that full-blown move to the upside. It's not often that we will see a macro W bottom play out that clean, and so for that reason, I would like to see us get back above this level before I'm really confident that this is going to be the move that we're looking for. Now, at the point in which we were to see, say if we do see that break back to the upside, of course, this is going to be my larger accumulation point that would give us many of the confirmations in which we've been looking for. Some of them, most notably, would be the fact that we would then have broken past the trend line. We would also have broken past the most recent macro high. We will have then established a new higher high on a macro scale, which is step one of an uptrend. And from there, I do think even if we did come back down to set in a higher low, that would be the big start of the next move for us. And I think that would be a very good sign that we are looking to continue back up towards some of these higher, possibly even up to $200 levels. I think that this is actually very possible. The reason being is that at this point, if we are going to go ahead and see that big move to the upside in which we just work our way up and break the trend, I think that we could see some pretty strong growth. One of the strongest reasons for that is looking at the daily RSI. There is actually a case to be made that there is bullish divergence already. Now, the reason I say that is because if we go ahead and we pay attention to this move here, now, I know we put in these lows and we wicked down to this level, okay? We wicked down to 80. But what we need to really be looking at is the accumulation of these lows. Where did we average out? And if we kind of look at the accumulation of all of these closes, it looks a little bit something like this. Whereas at this point, we have realistically already put in that lower low. And if we compare that to the RSI, although again, we did have this low down here, but let's just look at this accumulation here. The accumulation on the RSI is sitting well below this 30 level, okay? Whereas if you look to where we are now, we can see that we are well above that, okay? We're still sitting back up towards the 40 level. Now, in an event in which we do start to work our way back up past the trend line, that confirms this as a bottom, and that confirms this at a bottom. And what that says for us is that that bullish divergence that could have played out right here from this higher low and this lower low definitely could provide us with enough bullish strength and sentiment and show that the bulls are providing enough strength to get us back above this 117 level to fully play out this move in which we're looking for. So definitely be on the lookout that if we do continue to hold this this $80 level or so roughly, be looking to see, do we first of all get back above 105, this macro high here, but realistically, do we get back above this MLR, this mid-level resistance, sitting right around $117, in which in that case, I would be doing the most of my accumulating. Now, in an event in which we do lose $80, do be on the lookout for us to fall as low as back to the bottom side of this this descending trend line here, okay? Now, we can see that we are again in a descending wedge, and for that reason, we do need to be aware that anytime we get rejected off the top side, the bottom side is now in view. So if we do lose this level of support at $80, I do think that we could see this thing push as low as back to, towards roughly $70 to $74 around this area, maybe towards the beginning of March or so, before looking to see another bounce back up to the upside. So in an event in which we don't, hold $80 and we don't get back above that trend line, be on the lookout for us to fall probably back towards $70 to $75 roughly, back towards these levels in which we should start to really try to find some support. And I think at that point we would find that bounce from the bulls. Even if we did see a fake out down towards $65 to reenact with these support levels here, I do think we would bounce back to the back to the upside and continue back to the top here. Okay, now I know that sounds like me just saying it can go up or it can go down. You guys always comment that and I make fun of you every time. Everyone knows that in crypto it can go up or it can go down. It's not our goal to tell the future, but it is our goal to be prepared for the future. And so in this event, what I'm looking for again is a trend break. If we do hold $80, be looking for the clearing back up towards 117, and in that event, that is when I would be doing my larger accumulation. Sure, I may buy a little bit if we do break out here, but my largest accumulation wouldn't come until the clearing of this previous macro high. And if we are going to come back down under $80, do be on the lookout for another fall of probably up to 10 to 15% back towards some of these lower levels as we do enter into the apex of our descending wedge here. And I do understand that Solana is a very strong crypto, but it's not doing all of this by itself, and realistically, it is working off of Bitcoin. Okay, we have been covering covering Bitcoin substantially over the last few weeks, and do understand that if we do see this liquidity get reached, on which we start to work our way back up to, $39,000 for Bitcoin, breaking through some of these key strong buying points and selling points, and we say get back up to 40,000, we're going to likely see Solana break out. But if Bitcoin does start to move towards this, strongest level of liquidity back towards 35,000, 36,000, do expect that Solana is going to make a trip back to the downside as well, which could look like us seeing that break to the downside, in which we will then need to really start to hone in and figure out what comes next, okay? So overall, that's going to be about it. At the point in which I do my accumulation on Solana, whether it be a little bit here on the breakout and a little bit here clearing 117, you guys know I'm doing all of my buying at this point on long-term cryptos over on iTrust Capital. They're a sponsor of the channel. They have been a partner of the channel for a while now. I use them personally every single day when I'm doing some of my just general dollar cost average accumulating. I do it all through iTrust Capital. Again, I don't like to lose up to 40% on every single gain that I make in crypto. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to make $10,000 and have to pay up to $4,000 in taxes. And so for that reason, I do recommend that everyone at least sees what their options are whenever it comes to tax-free trading in crypto. So of course, what you'll do, just open an account with the link down below, enter in your email, phone number, make a password. They'll send you an email. You have to verify the email to keep your account and see the offers in which they do have. But once you do that, just see what they offer and see if it's something that fits you. I think it's beneficial to everyone. I think everyone should try it at least. And so for that reason, of course, that is why they are partnered with the channel. But with that being said, that is going to be realistically about it for today. Do pay attention to those ranges and keep an eye on which one of these we interact with first, whether it be the trend line or the breaking through $80, as that will be a strong implication of where the next move goes. So with that being said, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Of course, if you did, you can always let me know simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. And I will see you all next time. Peace.